1 Qizab. Part of Dead Sea Scroll 28 from Qumran Cave 1. The Jordan Museum, Amman. Part of Dead Sea Scroll 28 from Qumran Cave 1. The Jordan Museum, Amman. Dead Sea Scroll, Pesha Isaiah, from Qumran Cave 4. The Jordan Museum, Amman. Dead Sea Scroll Pesha Isaiah, from Qumran Cave 4. The Jordan Museum, Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 175, Testimonia, from Qumran Cave 4. The Jordan Museum, Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 175 Testimonia, from Qumran Cave 4. The Jordan Museum, Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 109, Kohelet or Ecclesiastes, from Qumran Cave 4. The Jordan Museum, Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 109 Kohelet or Ecclesiastes, from Qumran Cave 4. The Jordan Museum, Amman. Dead Sea Scrolls at the Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scrolls at Jordan Museum in Amman. Strips of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll at the Jordan Museum, from Qumran Cave 3, 1st century CE. Strips of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll at the Jordan Museum, from Qumran Cave 3, 1st century CE. Strip 11 of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll, from Qumran Cave 3, Jordan Museum. Strip 11 of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll, from Qumran Cave 3, Jordan Museum. Strip 15 of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll, from Qumran Cave 3, Jordan Museum. Strip 15 of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll, from Qumran Cave 3, Jordan Museum. Strip 13 of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll, from Qumran Cave 3, Jordan Museum. Strip 13 of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll, from Qumran Cave 3, Jordan Museum. Strips 1 and 2 of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll, from Qumran Cave 3, Jordan Museum. Strips 1 and 2 of the Copper Dead Sea Scroll, from Qumran Cave 3, Jordan Museum. Dead Sea Scroll 109, Kohelet or Ecclesiastes, from Qumran Cave 4, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 109 Kohelet or Ecclesiastes, from Qumran Cave 4, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 109, Kohelet or Ecclesiastes, from Qumran Cave 4, at the Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 109 Kohelet or Ecclesiastes, from Qumran Cave 4, at Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll, Pesha Isaiah, from Qumran Cave 4, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll Pesha Isaiah, from Qumran Cave 4, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 175, Testimonia, from Qumran Cave 4, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 175 Testimonia, from Qumran Cave 4, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Detail, Dead Sea Scroll 175, Testimonia, from Qumran Cave 4, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Detail, Dead Sea Scroll 175, Testimonia from Qumran Cave 4, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 28 from Qumran Cave 1, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll 28 from Qumran Cave 1, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Part of Dead Sea Scroll 28 from Qumran Cave 1, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Part of Dead Sea Scroll 28 from Qumran Cave 1, the Jordan Museum in Amman. Part of Dead Sea Scroll 28 from Qumran Cave 1, at the Jordan Museum in Amman. Part of Dead Sea Scroll 28 from Qumran Cave 1, at Jordan Museum in Amman. Dead Sea Scroll Fragment 5/6 HEVPS found in the Cave of Letters at Nahal Heva. Dead Sea Scroll Fragment 5/6 HEVPS found in the Cave of Letters at Nahal Heva. Origin. There has been much debate about the origin of the Dead Sea Scrolls. The dominant theory remains that the scrolls were produced by the Essenes, a sect of Jews living at nearby Qumran, but this theory has come to be challenged by several modern scholars. 50. Qumran Essene theory. The view among scholars, almost universally held until the 1990s, is the Qumran Essene hypothesis originally posited by Roland Guérin de Vos, 51, and Joseph Thaddeus Milik, 52. Though independently both Elazar Sukenik and Buttress Salmi of St. Mark's Monastery connected scrolls with the Essenes well before early excavations at Qumran. 53. The Qumran Essene theory holds that the scrolls were written by the Essenes, or by another Jewish sectarian group, residing at Khurvat Qumran. They composed the scrolls and ultimately hid them in the nearby caves during the Jewish revolt sometime between 66 and 68 CE. The city of Qumran was destroyed and the scrolls never recovered. A number of arguments are used to support this theory. There are striking similarities between the description of an initiation ceremony of new members in the community rule and descriptions of the Essene initiation ceremony mentioned in the works of Flavius Josephus, a Jewish Roman historian of the Second Temple period. Josephus mentions the Essenes as sharing property among the members of the community, as does the community rule. During the excavation of Khurvat Qumran, 2 inkwells and plastered elements thought to be vegetables were found, offering evidence that some form of writing was done there. More inkwells were discovered nearby. De Vos called this area the scriptrum based upon this discovery. Several Jewish ritual baths, Hebrew, mikveh, were discovered at Qumran, offering evidence of an observant Jewish presence at the site. Pliny the Elder, a geographer writing after the fall of Jerusalem in 70 CE, describes a group of Essenes living in a desert community on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea near the Uin town of Ein-Gedi. Qumran sectarian theory. Qumran sectarian theories are variations on the Qumran Essene theory. The main point of departure from Qumran Essene theory is hesitation to link the Dead Sea Scrolls specifically with the Essenes. Most proponents of the Qumran sectarian theory understand a group of Jews living in or near Qumran to be responsible for the Dead Sea Scrolls, but do not necessarily conclude that the sectarians are Essenes. A specific variation on the Qumran sectarian theory emerged in the 1990s that has gained much recent popularity is the work of Lawrence H. Schiffman, who proposes that the community was led by a group of Zadokite priests, Sadducees. 54. The most important document in support of this view is the Miksat Ma'ase HaTorah, 4QMMT, which cites purity laws, such as the transfer of impurities, identical to those attributed in rabbinic writings to the Sadducees. 4QMMT also reproduces a festival calendar that follows Sadducee principles for the dating of certain festival days. Christian origin theory. Spanish Jesuit José Callahan Martinez argued in the 1960s that one fragment, 7Q5, preserves a portion of text from the New Testament Gospel of Mark 6:52-53. 55. This theory was scrutinized in the year 2000 by paleographic analysis of the particular fragment. However, this faced some contention, and O'Callahan's theory remains an area of great dispute. Meta-analyses in 2004 and 2018 lent credence to O'Callahan's original assertion. Robert Eisenman has advanced the theory that some scrolls describe the early Christian community. Eisenman also argued that the careers of James the Just and Paul the Apostle correspond to events recorded in some of these documents. 56. Jerusalem origin theory. Some scholars have argued that the scrolls were the product of Jews living in Jerusalem, who hid the scrolls in the caves near Qumran while fleeing from the Romans during the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 CE. 57. Karl Heinrich Rinstor first proposed in the 1960s that the Dead Sea Scrolls originated at the Library of the Jewish Temple in Jerusalem. 58. Later, Norman Gauld suggested that the scrolls were the product of multiple libraries in Jerusalem, and not necessarily the Jerusalem Temple. Library. 59. 60. Proponents of the Jerusalem origin theory point to the diversity of thought and handwriting among the scrolls as evidence against a Qumran origin of the scrolls. Several archaeologists have also accepted an origin of the scrolls other than Qumran, including Roger Hirschfeld, 61, and more recently Georg Magen and Yuval Peelig, 62, who will understand the remains of Qumran to be those of a Hasmonean fort that was reused during later periods. Physical characteristics. Fragments 1 and 2 of 7Q6 from Cave 7 are written on papyrus. Radiocarbon dating. Parchment from a number of the Dead Sea Scrolls has been carbon dated. The initial test performed in 1950 was on a piece of linen from one of the caves. This test gave an indicative dating of 33 CE plus or minus 200 years, eliminating early hypotheses relating the scrolls to the medieval period. 63. Since then, two large series of tests have been performed on the scrolls themselves. The results were summarized by Dunderkam and Flint, who said the tests give strong reason for thinking that most of the Qumran manuscripts belong to the last 2 centuries BCE and the 1st century CE. 19. 32 Paleographic dating. Analysis of letter forms, or paleography, was applied to the texts of the Dead Sea Scrolls by a variety of scholars in the field. Major linguistic analysis by Cross and Vigord dates fragments from 225 BCE to 50 CE. 64. These dates were determined by examining the size, variability, and style of the text. 65. These same fragments were later analyzed using radiocarbon dating and were dated to an estimated range of 385 BCE to 82 CE with a 68% accuracy rate. 64. Ink and parchment. The scrolls were analyzed using a cyclotron at the University of California, Davis, where it was found that all black ink was carbon black. 66. The red ink on the scrolls was found to be made with cinnabar, HGS mercury sulfide. 67. There are only 4 uses of this red ink in the entire collection of Dead Sea Scroll fragments. 67. The black inks found on the scrolls are mostly made of carbon soot from olive oil lamps. 68. Honey, oil, vinegar, and water were often added to the mixture to thin the ink to a proper consistency for writing. 68. Galls were sometimes added to the ink to make it more resilient. 68. In order to apply the ink to scrolls, its writers used reed pens. 69. The Dead Sea Scrolls were written on parchment made of processed animal hide known as vellum. Approximately 85.5–90.5% of the scrolls. Papyrus, estimated at 8–13% of the scrolls, and sheets of bronze composed of about 99% copper and 1% tin, approximately 1.5% of the scrolls. 69. 70. For those the scrolls written on animal hides, scholars with the Israeli Antiquities Authority, by use of DNA testing for assembly purposes, believe that there may be a hierarchy in the religious importance of the texts based on which type of animal was used to create the hide. Scrolls written on goat and calf hides are considered by scholars to be more significant in nature, while those written on gazelle or ibex are considered to be less religiously significant in nature. 71. In addition, tests by the National Institute of Nuclear Physics in Sicily, Italy, have suggested that the origin of parchment of select Dead Sea Scroll fragments is from the Qumran area itself. By using X-ray and particle-induced X-ray emission testing of the water used to make the parchment that were compared with water from the area around the Qumran site. 72. Preservation. 2 of the pottery jars that held some of the Dead Sea Scrolls found at Qumran. 2 Dead Sea Scrolls jars at the Jordan Museum. Among the Dead Sea Scrolls that were found were originally preserved with dry, arid, and low humidity conditions present within the Qumran area adjoining the Dead Sea. 73. In addition, the lack of use of tanning materials on the parchment of the Dead Sea Scrolls and the very low airflow in the Qumran caves also contributed significantly to their preservation. 74. Some of the scrolls were found stored in clay jars.